when we deploy this weather modification technology, the number of clouds, especially cumulus and nimbus, had not been existed. There's no clouds at the moment, but we deployed this until several days, and by mid of March here, there was raindrops, precipitation rate become high here, and after that we deploy again, but as the cloud of cumulus has been reduced, so the number of precipitation rates become low again, and it needs time. It needs time to formulate, to reform again clouds. And when the raindrops were low, and the hotspot becomes high again. Once water from the sky or rain or precipitation rates high here, and the number of hotspot become low and almost zero here. Why this can be stable, raindrops become stable? Because the formulation, at the initial formulation of clouds, especially cumulus, take time. Here, however, we try to make a cloud that almost impossible to do that during 6-7 days or 10 days period. But once the clouds occurs here, that means another clouds will also will be performed. And here we look at raindrops occur regularly up to June, and from June there's some hotspot, but not so much. Until December, raindrops regularly. And have a look, after June up to December, there almost a limited number of hotspots existed in Bengkalis. This is during period of 2014. What happened 2015? What happened 2015? Again, in March, and the early start of year 2015, the number hotspot very high here, very high. However, we deployed weather modification technology here, but it's too late and very difficult to perform cloud during this period. In fact, in 2015, there's severe drought season condition attack Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. And water favor is very limited at the moment. Unfortunately, once raindrops comes here and precipitation rate high here, weather modification technology was stopped. With the expectation, precipitation rate will remain high. In fact, in July and August, in July and August, there was a limited number of precipitation rates or rainfall events, and the number of hotspots become very, very high in August up to October. Fortunately, government of Indonesia redeployed again weather modification technology during this period. But as the absence of this, the number of hotspots here very high. Fortunately, by the end of this year, that year, 2015, after success of increasing of precipitation rates, the number of hotspots were decreasing here in September, October, up to December. Again, this is 2016. The worst cases of forest fires and pit fire disaster occurrences in Indonesia. We admitted that we very late to deploy this. Hence, during January up to June, we get this result. Worst fire, forest fire, and pit fire land disasters. However, as a limited budget, government still deploy weather modification technology here. Yeah. We still get the result very late. Hence, until up to end of August, forest fire and pitland fire disaster in Riau, especially in Bengkalis, become like this, very high. Fortunately, by September, this hotspot went down, and by the end of 2016, there is no more pitland fire disaster occurrences. Here, we collect again our data from internet. Hang on. This is a sample of data. I make it a big size. For example, there was no pit fire or pitland fire occurrences in Bengkalis by 1st of January. But this is not precipitation rates. There's no identification of precipitation rates during 1st of January. But this is after we get this information from TRM satellite data. We calculate. This is based on months: January, February, March, April, and etc. up to December. This for Bengkalis. this Rokan Hilir and this Zumai. Basically, I make this lecture only one single case study, but I investigated, not I and with my team investigated this for 7 regencies, 7 zones in Rio province. But I only show you all only one area. This is how we deal with the collection, data collection for precipitation rates. This is for January 2014. This is for January to December 2015, 14. This is 2015, and this is for 2016. And after that, we make comparison for this data using and we get this result like this. And for this is for precipitation rates, and for hotspots, we got also data from internet, from Aqua Terra and Aqua Satellite, and we after that after we gather that all information here, we make this chart, almost similar with precipitation rates. Now, what is the result? This is the result. For example, this is precipitation rates in millimeter. In 2014, during period of TMC, we got this 552 millimeter of precipitation rates, and hotspot number 237. 237. In 2015, we get precipitation rate high 439, and number of hotspot high 394. In 2016, the precipitation rate high again, the number of precipitation rates high again, become 500, more than 500, and the hotspot number in the area was decreasing. That means here, once we got precipitation rate high, hotspot will be low. Once we get precipitation rate during period the similar period low, we got the hotspot number high. And once again, when it become high, precipitation rate become high, the number of hotspot become low again. This means the result shows that weather modification technology may enhance precipitation rates. Thus, this rain wetted the pit soils in Bengkalis. Thus, as consequences, the number of spots reduced significantly during the period of 2014, 2015, and 2016. Hence, it's recommended that this method can be used in mitigating pit land fire disaster in Indonesia. Yeah, this is, I think, all my my presentation and my lecturing today. Please, if you have some question, don't hesitate to ask me. Please.
Yeah, Professor, I'm Pedro. I just want to ask about the. I just want only know about those. There is some disadvantages of the like of this cloud seeding.
Yes, Pedro. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So I want to know about the. There is disadvantages of the cloud seeding.
Okay. You asked me about is there any disadvantage? All right.
So because maybe the cloud seeding they use like a chemical substances. It may be cause for the not really good for the environmental itself. Like
Okay.
so, I just want to know about these
Right.
advantages.
Okay. This very good question. Thank you, Pedro. Cloud seeding use kitchen salt. Kitchen salt. There is no other substances. So here, based on the experiences around the world, around the globe, not only Indonesia, Indonesia we use this for abating, for fighting pit fire disaster, for example. There was no evidence this uh, kitchen salt, kitchen salt may affect to nature, including humans. Unfortunately, up to now, we don't have any what is any reports, not only reports, any any uh, problems related to this, and has no publication to what is to say or to report negative impact of the implementation of weather modification technology. That's as far as I know, Pedro. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, so it just only use the kitchen salt, right?
Yes, kitchen salt.
Okay.
But the diameter is very small, 10 microns. There's
Oh,
10 microns is very small. So yeah, because this is kitchen salt and 10 micron, that will not affect to environment, especially human. Thank you, Pedro.
maybe yeah. I just want to share my opinion that maybe I think it quite a kind of a expensive method. I think because
Yes,
yeah, they use the plane and then plane is very high with highly cost. So maybe it is quite expensive. I think.
yes. Tomorrow I will deliver also what is a lecture concerning uh, I think that's concern with uh,
Climate
climate
change.
change. Yeah, but here for tomorrow, I will look at not the climate change itself, but how to calculate benefit cost ratio utilizing weather modification technology and the negative impact of peatland fire disaster. This is very interesting because Pedro has already asked me about this. So tomorrow I will explore how to make balance the cost of implementation with the modification technology compared to the cost when we get pit fire disaster problems.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow I will explain the cost very high, of course, but higher compared to when we get these problems with fire disaster or smoke hazard disaster.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. Yes, Putra or Satria? Satria, nice to meet you again.
Uh, excuse me, Sensei.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Alfredo. Yes, I'm wondering to ask about relate to the pit fire that you already shared in the slide. So it's quite it's very interesting. But from the data, the chart data that I saw that the cloud modifications process is quite late to prevent the fire uh, pit fire because the cloud is it's not constant
Yes.
in the time of occurrence, in the time of
Yes.
fire. So we
Yes.
need to waiting for the accumulation of the cloud, and then we start to conduct the cloud modification. So
Yes.
about the I just want to ask your experience about the what prevention of the pit fire uh, in Indonesia in case of this situation, because from the data I show that it's not immediately prevention because of more than a week or some days, and then the methodology is it's deployed, and the previous days we know that even in the dry seasons it's the fire is quite very quick to propagate everywhere. So what is your opinion about that, about this method, another method like watering by helicopter or something like that, if any method to prevent the pit fire? Thank you.
Thank you, Alfredo. Okay, this is very interesting question because we are talking about pit fire mitigation measure. Pit fire mitigation measure. Okay. Basically, this is not only one single method for mitigating pit fire. In Indonesia, we also conducted some other methods for sampling. For example, where, the watering and wetting, re-wetting land itself. The condition like this, Alfredo. If we do not introduce any let's say not destruction only. For example, not if we make pit land what it is, pit fire will not happen. Why? Because the land itself are wet. The land itself are wet, quite wet. Plenty water there. But as for the sake of economic pressure, many companies and communities open that wetland area become agriculture area, and the land become exposure and become quite hot in the dry season, and the land itself contains what is we said that's fuel. Because why? Because there's the land itself formed from for example, from the trees, degraded trees, leaf, and very prone to fire. This is the case. So here, government of Indonesia has launched a regulation rewetting the land. Stop uh, stop what is expansion of economic implementation in that land for example, for agricultural sector. This is the policy. But some of land has been exposure and easy to be burned. Now, how to deal with this land? When we try to extinguish using surface water, there's no surface water at the moment when during dry season condition. So here we introduce expensive weather modification technology for extinguish the fire itself. You're right, Alfredo. This is quite expensive first, and we try to look for another mechanism. That's one. Secondly, why it's come late? As that's expensive, government budget is a relative relative. Sometimes the decision-making process become quite long. However, during 2020, 2020, yes, 2020, and up now 2021, the government is very prepared. For example, in Riau, however, there was no, for example, 2020, there was no pit fire disaster occurrences, no hotspots, but central government has deployed this weather modification technology already. And during this period also, 2020, however, we still get rain and precipitation rate quite high, but start from last March, central government has also deployed this weather modification technology to Riau province. So here, government realized that early deployment of weather modification technology may improve precipitation rates especially in Riau. That's the second. And the third one, now Riau, however, this is, for example, yesterday we got rain. Today we don't have rain, but normally in 1 week we got 3 or 4 days rains. But in Riau, there are about 4 choppers provided by government, central government, in case of there will be pit fire occurrences or events in Riau. Here we appreciate what government have done in 2020 and 21st. In order to reduce pit fire, we provide sufficient funds, and we also deploy some chopper and some aircraft to make a seeding process. However, we realized that this is not at the moment. There is no hotspot at the moment. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
Yes, please.
I want to ask to you, Prof. When see the amount of data display is very different, starting in 2014 until now, the number of hotspot is different every year. What do you think? What do you think about it, Prof? The number of hotspot different every year.
Yes, yes,
Starting
yes.
year
Hotspot. This is
2014.
hotspot occurrences. All right. Yes.
Yes, sir.
This is a dynamic hotspot occurrences every year that occurs, especially 2014, this 2015, and 2016. You're right. These are the dynamic conditions. Why? Because this is basically hotspots based on Indonesian local government, Indonesian local government perceptions. This hotspot not merely because of dry season condition, but because of behavior, human behavior also. So this is very difficult to predict when this will happen. But normally during dry condition, for example, this March, we can look at this almost similar. For example, here, this is March, February, March, April. This again, February, March, April. This again, February, March, April. There's a transition between wet season to dry season condition, and there is a tendency for farmers and industry to open the lands during this period. So the risk will be almost similar during this period. However, the date will be different, but the months almost similar. The months occurrences almost similar. So here, fortunately, 2020 into 2021, the government deploy weather modification technology with respect. Look at this data in March, early March, they deploy into 2020 and 2021. And the result, have a look now. Fortunately, during this 2 years period, we got only small number of hotspot events occurred during 2020 and 2021. Thank you, Satria, for your.
So that I mean the first factor dominant human, the second factor natural factors.
I cannot say that because we need data for make a judgment like that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
And I don't have any data related to that. I only have data of hotspot, but the cause of hotspot itself I cannot determine.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think this is we have already 1 hour 50 minutes lecturing. This normally we have 1 hour 40 minutes. We extend to 10 minutes. I think that's enough. Is it okay, Pak Yusa and everybody?
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Ari, for the interesting sharing. Yeah, I think we can end up for today's lectures, and then we'll meet up again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you very much for your attention and cooperation, and thank you for especially for Professor Ari.
Thank you. See you for tomorrow, inshallah.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Omoto. Nice to meet you again. See you.
See you.
Bye-bye.